Christ was alone. It was midnight as he lay awake in a cell in the bowels of Roman army headquarters in Jerusalem. 15 hours later he would hang on a cross, dead. He knew this as he contemplated the next day. His life would end, painfully, brutally, abandoned. These were the final hours he had known about from childhood. Now, however, it was much more than an intellectual understanding of learned knowledge. Scourging his every thought, the Holy Scriptures became his death sentence. He was disliked and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, and familiar with suffering. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter. He knew within his whole being, perhaps with more certainty than ever before, that this was his destiny, and he faced a long, dark, torturous night. You don't have to listen too closely to hear the agony, the emotional bleeding in Jesus' thoughts. I asked myself what most played on Christ's mind that night. Was it fear of death? Was it humiliation? Was it the anticipation of physical pain, the nails being driven through his hands, the whipping he would receive? Was it anger, as he considered his innocence and the irony of God being murdered by a treacherous, shallow, two-faced humanity? Traces of all these emotions may have found their way into Jesus' mind and heart in those chilling hours. But Jesus' primary source of pain that night was sorrow. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Jesus confided to Peter, James and John before being arrested in the still of night in the Garden of Gethsemane. Stop for a moment and think about this phrase Jesus used. Sorrow to the point of death. This was intense, unbearable inner pain, and at its core was abandonment. My God, he cried on the cross while dying, why have you forsaken me? Some say this was complete aloneness. But it was more than that. It is one thing suddenly to be alone. It is another to be abandoned. What do we say to this great love of Christ for our souls? What do we say to this beautiful nurturer of our spirit?